How's everybody doing? As you know, we have the BSU of Lakeridge and Lake Oswego here. To start off this panel, I want everybody starting from the left to the right, say your names, which BSU you belong to, whether it be Lakeridge or Lake Oswego, and what is the purpose of coming here tonight.
Hi, my name is Braylon. I'm a senior at Lakeridge, and thank you everyone for coming, and I hope that you have some good insights after you hear us talk.
I'm Carmen. I'm a senior at Lakeridge, and yeah, same what Braylon said.
Hi, I'm Chase. I'm a junior at Lakeridge, and I'm just really excited to share my perspectives with policy.
Hi, I'm Alana, and I'm from Lake Oswego High School. I'm just really excited for everyone to hear what it's really like to be Black and live in Lake Oswego.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Ponte. I'm from the BSU in Lake Oswego High School, and all I gotta say, about to drop some facts.
I'm Lila Moorhead. I'm a junior at Lake Oswego High School, and I would say I'm really excited to be here. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to get to also share just our perspective of being Black youth in Lake Oswego.
I'm Amin Tony. I'm from Lake Oswego High School. I'm a sophomore in BSU, and I just wanted to be able to see this community together and just be able to talk and hear everyone else and like, share their thoughts and be able to bring like groups of people you would see together a lot. Like, so it's really nice to see, like on the social media stuff a lot, you'll see Black people and like the police and fire departments separated, but it's nice to have everyone in this space where everyone can feel safe and included and together.
Hello, my name is Tassia Christabel Garsha, and I'm a foreign exchange student from Norway and Ghana. I'm a 12th grader at Lake Oswego High School, and the reason I'm here is because of the community and the fellowship. We never had any Black student union in Norway, so having this here was really interesting, and I joined it straight away.
All right, so first question we're going to go over. What is your first impression of Lake Oswego recently?
So, when I came to Lake Oswego around 8 months ago, my first impression was, wow, it is hot here, 105 degrees, really? But I came here and it was a really welcoming community, nice people, of course a very nice host family I came to, and another impression I got too was around how we teach stuff in America. So I learned a lot of history that was only common to this country, like about the civil rights movement and everything that had happened here, while the history I had learned back in Europe was the one you had just seen on the TV now with the slave castles that were in Ghana, which I've been seen. So I thought that was quite interesting. And furthermore, my impression here is that it's a really nice community and it's a lot of good people. Thank you.
All right, Sebastian, what do you think, man? I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, I came to Lake Oswego when I was 8 in 2018. My first impression at the time, I'm not like how I was back then, now. I just thought, yeah, I'm saying Tazia, very welcoming, opposite of what Tazia thought. It was cold. That's the first time I saw snow outside my window on Christmas Day. And then as I started growing up, I really started to feel like, then my first impression of Lake Oswego now, my first impression was where, it's really white dominated, and I started feeling like, it's kind of the feeling of oppression, and not directly, but indirectly, you don't recognize the people who are like around you, and they can't like make connections with you, and it feels weird to try to explain my culture to theirs, and it just felt really awkward, and that's how I really felt about first impression. As before, it wasn't really positive. That's what I felt.
All right, second question, moving on. What has it been like living in Lake Oswego so far?
Okay, cool, works, okay. I can take this one. So, living in Lake Oswego, well, going to school to Lake Oswego, like high school, it can be kind of an isolating experience. I like look around and there's just a lot of people who don't look like me or don't share the same experiences as me. And like I'm from California, and where I lived, it was very diverse, and there are a lot of people who looked like me, and it was like really easy and comfortable to share like my thoughts of different things, like even like as simple as music and food. For a while before I met like a solid group of friends, I wasn't comfortable sharing like the type of music that I liked, or like really talking about it or getting really into it, because I thought that everyone would judge me. And like I walk around the halls at school and sometimes I feel like people stares, and I don't know if it's just because they really like my outfit or if it's like they see this black girl walking around the hallways with sometimes butterfly locks in her hair or sometimes a really big afro. So yeah, I don't know. It's an isolating experience, but when I surround myself with like my friends and the people I love, it's pretty cool.
I would definitely agree with Alana. I feel like it definitely is an isolating experience, not just when you're walking in school, but when I'm walking down the street, I constantly see stares. I see head turns from the cars driving by, and it's really awkward. Because you know why they're staring. You know they're like, what is she doing here? Why does she look like that? And I feel like another part of the experience that is isolating is, like Alana said, there's not people like me in my school. Outside of BSU, it's really hard for me to kind of connect and make friends. And I feel like because of this, the majority of my friends don't go to my school. And I feel like that's why I really do value our Black Student Union, because it's like the one time of the week where I can sit down for 30 minutes and have these connections and have really good conversations with people who get my perspective and get my point of view.
I think also just building off what you said about BSUs, it's just really important to have that space and being able to feel like completely accepted and not have to explain like who you are, and like just explain your culture is really important, because you're able to go into a space and be able to just feel seen and feel heard, and not like have to explain why something might offend you, because it is surrounded by people who like automatically understand you and understand why that microaggression might be hard for you to go through.
My experience has been pretty similar. I moved here from Portland in 4th grade, and I was the only black girl in the class, and like a lot of my classmates would come over and like touch my hair without asking, and like ask me questions that were just very like kind of, I don't know, like kind of weird to ask. But yeah, it's yeah, so that was really strange, and like I also have a very different like at-home life, and so it's like hard to relate. But yeah, once I found like a good group of friends, it's been better. But yeah, just everything they've said, like not having anyone, like no one that looks like you to like look up to is challenging sometimes.
All right, so what do you feel like the mindset is in Lake Oswego right now?
Can you specify the mindset?
Specify. So what's going well? What can we improve on? Just what can we do better at in general, yeah?
I think for me, it's really just the lack of education is what we need to improve on. Just the reason why we experience so many microaggressions is because there's a lack of understanding and lack of education surrounding our culture and who we are. So I think if we increase that education and just increase the awareness of what it means to be black, but also why certain things, like why touching our hair hurts us, or why just being like stereotyped is difficult. I think if we increase the education, it'll help with increase our community too.
Can I add on to that real quick? So what are some actions that like you would take to bring that to awareness, like to our schools and to our communities?
I think just creating spaces that are that are open for discussion, and I think just having that community and being able to have awareness, but also having spaces that are open for all of us to talk. Because I know for BSU, it's really amazing to be able to talk to like so many wonderful people, and just inviting like allies and inviting other people into those communities where we're able to like freely discuss, and not just discuss but not just discuss what's like going on, but also discuss what's going right, how we can work together to improve our community.
I think another reason education would be really important is because especially in LO, it's not out of straight racism, but there's a lot of bias and a lot of assumptions. So without like education, especially because it's a lot of just like, there's like a lot of white kids who don't really know anything. Not like that, but it's like they'll just say stuff that they don't really know what they're talking about. Or they'll just say something that's like offensive, they don't really mean it. And it's like, it can go for like, it's kind of everywhere. It's not even just with that. I think education as a whole regarding like race and different power classes and stuff like that. I think it's just something that, like, other than here right now, I've never heard this like talked about, especially like publicly, let alone in private. So I think it's just stuff like this and bringing attention and awareness to something that's important. Because if we're not doing it, no one else is going to do it. So no like movement or progress is going to happen.
A mindset that has always helped me through the years, especially when growing up, is always being true to yourself. Because I'm from a very countryside area in Norway, and when I was younger, I would be called the N-word many times. I would end up in situations where I had to fight sometimes. I would sometimes change my hair a little bit, not to wear the afro, cut it down, have a mohawk like this. I'm like, seriously, did I do that to my hair? But one thing that really helped me through the years was just really being true to myself, being true to my beliefs. Because when you make this, or when you get this mindset that you are true to yourself, then you can't have anyone who will mess with you. No one can mess with you. And you will not regret it. You will not regret going to life because you'll be happy and you will do what you gotta do. So I believe that's an important mindset for us all to have.
Sorry, man. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna say, I feel like something that is a big thing here is we talk a big talk, we act like we're making changes, but in reality, I don't feel like it really happens. And I feel like that does fall on everybody, because I feel like we should, as a whole, express that more openly. But I think recently one major letdown from our school district and kind of the city was Black History Month. I know that was really hard for us at Lake Oswego and our BSU. Is like the day before we got emails saying, what have you guys planned? What are you guys doing? And our school didn't do anything. We had to fight for weeks to get something announced, get something done. And it didn't happen until like the last few days of Black History Month. There was no support, and it's really hard, I think, because we see other groups getting supported and getting that help and getting their acknowledgement, and we just didn't get that, and it just felt like we were getting ignored.
I would say going off of that, I don't know if it was the same thing, but yeah, like halfway into Black History Month, we get an email and it's like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. And it kind of was just like not planned very well. And it was a door decorating contest, which like, in the end it was okay, but like a lot of teachers didn't know about it when I talked to them. And they didn't really know what the purpose of it was. Most students didn't know that it was happening. So it kind of felt that it was just like, okay, I mean, I guess we have to do something for y'all because it is February. So it kind of just seemed like it was just another thing to check off their to-do list, which obviously doesn't make us feel very good because, like, I don't know. But it would be nice if we put, like, a little bit more effort into it to seem like it really was a priority, because we only do get 1 month and it's the shortest month, so.
All right, so how do you think the community could be supportive in Lake Oswego towards VSUs and our Black community?
So I think one of the like big things is like with BSU, there's not a whole lot we can actually do because there's only like, how many kids are there? There's like 15, maybe 20 kids out of this school, which has like how many kids in it? A couple hundred. So it's like, not, kids don't, especially like in LO, a lot of kids won't sign up if they're not like of African American descent. So it's like, I mean, it's not like 15 kids by ourselves are gonna be able to do anything. We're just high schoolers, we're just kids. It's not like we have any real power or anything, and they're like putting all this on us and expecting us to like make all these changes and do all this work. So it's like we really just need to have a bigger community and get people and allies who are able to come in and help to like work and be able to like bigger the community and like help make better understandings, because it's like if we're just not doing anything to make active change, as I was saying earlier, change isn't gonna happen. And that's one of the main things we need to realize and accept.
Yeah, building off of what Mitch said, we really need to get more allies and, get more support from the community, because, there's the black population in Lake Oswego isn't gonna match the white population or other populations, and I think we really need to make our presence more. We need to inform people more, and we need to we want you guys to know what our situation is. We need more stuff like panels and more people here. I don't think we have even a lot of people in here compared to the theater that everyone's just left. That's what I think. But yeah, we really need to get it. We need you guys on board. We need more allies. We need you to understand our stories, what we've come through, and we need more education, because it's not even the white people who are uneducated, maybe racialized. I've seen Asian kids of all races, all ethnicities doing the same shit. And it's really underwhelming. And that's what I think how our community can really help improve us.
I think one major thing too is also to integrate black teachers. So in school, we only have one black staff in school, and he's an American football teacher. He's a really good man, but if we don't, and there's one from Kenya too that has come here. But I believe that's really important. And also, I want this to be a message that you can either spread to your children or to the community. Black Student Union, we're open to everyone. We just want to make change. So don't feel afraid if you're white, Asian, Arab, or whatever you are. Because our union is for everybody.
Can I add something real quick to you, Ahmed? When you said we didn't have power and that like one person can't do anything by themselves, see how 2 BSUs are up here right now trying to make a difference for their community. If you reached out to other schools and looked out for more BSUs and got all that together, because I agree, one person against an entire community, nobody's really gonna listen. When you get everybody together and start unifying and start like changing things, that's where that power comes in. That's where I believe you can start actually making a difference.
So I think what he was saying, that's something we need to do too. It's like even just these 2 schools, it's like this is one of the bigger things we've done in a long time. But if we're able to even get more schools, so like I'm looking out to everyone, there's cameras going on right now. I'm calling out everyone, we need to get the other schools, we need to bring the community together, the city together. It's not just us, it's the government too. And it's like if we're able to get these things together, it's like even coming up, I think last year we did something for Juneteenth. If we can make that a bigger thing this year and just get more awareness and like just raise the community, that can help us so much, because a couple small people, they're not going to make the change, they're going to bring awareness to it, they're going to be able to gather the community, and when the community's gathered, that's when you're going to be able to make a big impact.
We really do need allies and we need support so we can gather communities, because I know right now we've talked about, and I think we're trying to plan some big event with all the BSUs, but that's really not going to happen unless we do get a bunch of allies and we do get support from the community, because that's a big event that we're talking about, like trying to talk about putting on, and unless we have a lot of support, that's not going to happen. So.
I know we talk about like allies and other people too, but like at our school specifically, Lakeridge, we don't even have like every black person coming to BSU, and literally we don't even meet for that long. We meet like once every other week. And I don't know, it's kind of hard to just see them just like standing and talking with their friends, and that's what they'd rather be doing. And it might not be that they don't want to come to BSU, it may be that they don't feel comfortable in their shoes yet. And that's another thing that like needs to be implemented, is like trying to get people comfortable so that they can come to things that are like supposed to help them, because they may not realize. Yeah. You want it?
Okay, so number 5, how does it feel living in Lake Oswego versus other places, or just being here compared to other places?
Kind of similar to what I said before. I'm from Portland, like I grew up in Portland for a little bit, so like it's very different, and it's also more diverse than Lake Oswego, and so like we kind of talked about it earlier, but just when I was in Portland, like majority of my friends and like classmates and teachers were like Black or people of color, and like moving to Lake Oswego, I like rarely see any of that, and so that's like the biggest difference.
I would agree with you. I think it's just difficult trying to find your like identity as like a Black person in Lake Oswego, because you're so stuck in stereotypes set by the lack of education, and because people like don't understand what it means to be a Black person, people assume it's just like this one thing, like one stereotype. And so I think it's really difficult trying to find your identity and trying to establish yourself, not like outside of your Blackness, but just establish yourself, or not just being like that one Black girl in your class.
Yeah, I totally agree. I moved here like my freshman year, so I was like still trying to find who I was. I still am. I'm only 17. But like I'm still trying to see who I can be and who I can become the best version of myself, and like not seeing anyone who I can look up to, and like not seeing anyone who I can relate to. It's very isolating, and it makes me feel really alone. And when I go back to California, it's a really weird experience too, because sometimes I get people trying to touch my hair and like not ask, or like they say things and it's like really awkward, and my friends in California, they don't have to deal with that because like everyone already knows like that's a big no-no, you don't do that. But here it's like I have to explain it, and like still sometimes they don't see people don't see why they're like wrong for doing such a thing. And it's like really, it puts me in a very difficult position of kind of feeling alone everywhere I go. Like it puts me in the mindset that I am here alone, and I can't find anyone who can relate to me, who is an adult or just a friend. It's really hard.
Yeah, I agree with what they said. I guess I'll just share my experience. I'm an ally of the BSU. I'm Spanish, Latino, Mexican, Puerto Rican, and I can compare a lot with it going through. I came from California also. I remember going to like parties, quinceañeras, everything, like very often from when I was a baby. And then when I came to Lake Oswego, I didn't really notice that kind of changed. And now I've gone better with it, but sometimes it was hard to come out with my culture and try to explain to people, especially when I'm in freaking Spanish class. I love that class and I hate that class, I'm just going to say it right now. Because, everyone's looking to me as I'm the Mexican that knows all the Spanish. And so I get people telling me, hey, what does this mean? Hey, what does that mean? Hey, do you say it correctly? And I'm like, it's a really overwhelming experience. And I can't find the words for it right now, but it's really isolating, and
It's for me, being here in Lake Oswego is very different than just, being in Portland or something, because like Alana said, I believe you don't see anybody like you on the street, and you do get stares. And I think one thing that I notice a lot is that I feel like I get looked down upon and people think they're better than me. And I don't like to think it's intentional. I like to think it's something that's kind of subconscious. But for example, when I'm walking on the sidewalk, walking down the street, I live right in downtown Lake Oswego, so I walked here today in under 10 minutes. But it's like, I'll be walking and people don't move. It's the same thing in school. People just kind of expect me to be the person to move out of the way. But then I won't, because I'm like, you can scoot over a little bit, so we can both scoot over a little bit, and then it's the same amount. And I get looked at like I'm the bad person, like I'm doing something wrong. And it's just, things like that are really frustrating, because then when you go to talk about it to people, they're kind of just like, oh, well, I don't see what's wrong with that. And I don't know, it feels like it's somewhat unintentional, but also a little bit or it is intentional. I don't know the same for that, but yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's just here, you're just kind of seen as less than.
I don't got a lot to say for this one, but there's a lack of culture and a lot of privilege.
I would say one of the biggest things is education, just as Ahmed had mentioned and many else had mentioned. For example, I was in a situation, let's say a month ago, when I got braids. This one kid comes up to me and he says, "You look less scary now." I'm like, "Okay." Look less, and I was like, "Okay, you look," and I was like, my point was that I didn't really try to take too much offense with it, even though I knew it was bad, because I understood that this boy really did not understand anything about the culture, about the hair that we have, about our ancestry. So as they have said, I believe one of the main big things is educating people, and not just educating people in the history that has happened, but also about how it is to be black, the things that us black people go through, our hair, our color, these things that are part of our culture. Because then you get to understand us at another level than just thinking of us through the historical aspect of it.
School in North Portland. At first I was like, okay, like it was fine. I mean, the classes are very small if you're familiar with that school at all. There was one black girl there, whatever. That school was not for me, I realized. 6th grade, we moved here. I was just a little 6th grader. I was worried about like, oh, how am I gonna make friends? Like it's middle school, blah, blah, blah. And then I rode the bus to school, you know. One day, this kid was like, hey, can I have the N-word pass? And I was like, what do you mean? He was like, well, you're black, like you must be able to give me the N-word pass so that I can say it. And I was like, at that point, I was like really confused. And I was like, I don't know, like this, I never had that question. And I was like, well, I don't really think you're supposed to say that. And he was like, well, like, but you give me permission, it'll be fine. And there's been multiple instances like that where it's just like, if they get my permission or any person of color's permission to do things, say things, it's like, oh, well, it'll be fine, I won't get in trouble. And I'm like, okay. And I feel like they're just so uneducated that that's not how it works. And it's like secondhand embarrassment almost. Like, we definitely learn about slurs in class. Like, you know you're not supposed to say that.
There's also like, in instances where we'll be like hanging out in groups and I'll be like the only black person. They'll like make comments like, oh yeah, like I haven't said the N-word in like 4 months. And I'm like, do you want me to like congratulate you or something? Like, I don't know. Like just little stuff like that. Yeah, songs. Like,
They always look at us.
yeah, and just like little stuff like that. And it's just kind of degrading and like, I don't know. It's a break.
About what I said earlier, like I'm originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, and down there, I mean, especially down in the South, when you go walk up next to somebody, you're walking by somebody, it's always like you have to say hi to that person. That's just normal. When I first moved down here about 6 years ago, I did the same thing and nobody said anything the first time. So I thought, oh, maybe it's just they didn't hear me or anything. Do it the second time to somebody else, and then I kind of got the hint that it's a little like everybody's just in their phones. They just like, they're nervous to talk to people and everything. So I really like, when I got down here, I wanted to change that narrative like really badly, but then at a certain point, it just like kind of caught up to me, and it was just, I accepted that that was the culture here, and it kind of just grew on me. And then actually it was my mom we were originally living in an apartment down here. She would actually, every single time we go in the elevator, she would always start the conversations up and scare the crap out of everybody. So like, the joke was, if you really wanted to scare the heck out of a person from Oregon, just say hi to them. All right, question 6. How does the history of Lake O affect it today?
I feel like the history of LO affects us today because it scares a lot of people off. My friend who's actually here today, when he first came out here to hang out with me, he was really scared. He was like, I don't want to go out there, like they're not going to like me there. He came here, he said everybody's staring at me, I don't think they're fucking with me, like is that the next thing, right? And I just think that we really need to work to say like, yes, that is our history, and we have to own the history of Lake Oswego, but I think we also have to say that isn't who we are now and make that very clear, because if I'm being honest, I think today and like one of our track meets a couple weeks ago was like the most black people I've ever seen gathered together in Lake Oswego. Like it scares people off, I feel like, and it's something that really does upset me because this is my home and I would love to share that experience with others.
But there's also a reason there's not a lot of black people here. Like even like we're into our law, I'm sure a lot of you are aware like the lash laws and other stuff like that. Like we weren't welcome here for a long time. We weren't even allowed to be here. And that still plays a big impact to this day. And that's why there's such a small population of black people in our community. It's just something that needs to be brought to our attention and like something we're aware of, so it just doesn't slip out under the rug.
Yeah, pretty much what Ahmed and Lisa said. We have a really lot of bad history. Oregon itself has a lot of bad history, just like Lake Oswego. And it still really affects us. I mean, when I first learned that, I looked down on my community, and I just learned that like 6 months ago. That's probably the only time I felt the most unwelcome in Lake Oswego. Some people still have moved on from it. And, I just think there are still a lot of people who have lived here for generations. And that some of them just, like how many of you know the history of Lake Oswego before you came in here? I just want to see hands, I'm curious. Let's see what it is. I don't know, that was like 1/3 of the room, I think. But yeah, how many of you know that Black, Chinese, and Japanese were not allowed to own houses here, and the only way that they would ever inhabit them was if they served as servants or workers in the house.
Right.
Yeah, in Oregon, and also Lake Oswego. Yeah, you know what Lake Oswego is called. Yeah, so I think the history of bias both continues in the way that people know what happened here, yet the bias still occurs, and we might be informed about or not informed about, but it still occurs despite our very bad history in this town.
Whenever I moved here in 6th grade, a couple months after, my dad was like, I gotta buy a new car, And I was like, why, right? Well, come to find out, our next door neighbor, who is a multi-million-dollar, very professional man, he's black. Crazy that we moved right next to him. Anyway, he told us a story that one day he got pulled over, and he drives a very nice car. He drives the Back to the Future DeLorean. And the police officer goes, he takes his ID and was like, this isn't your address, this must be a fake ID, there's no way you live in Lake Oswego, at 5 p.m. on his way home from work. And he's like, yeah, I do, this is my address. And he goes, no, I'm following you home, and you're gonna take me into your house, and you're gonna get me your wife, whoever, and I'm gonna see, your papers, whatever. This cop did indeed follow him all the way to his house because he thought there was no way a black man could be living in a very nice house. And so after that, my dad was like, well, I'm not going to be pulled over randomly just because I'm black and they're not going to believe I live here. So yeah, just to put that in perspective.
I know for me, I've had similar experiences to what Brandon was talking about. I know in middle school, after I first moved here from North Carolina, I remember walking home from school, walking to my house, and having a cop car pull up right next to me and follow me all the way home. And I think what's really difficult is I always hear so much praise about how Lake Oswego is so safe, there's so much policing, it's so good for our community. And I think it's really important to understand how that policing is difficult for us as Black people and us as minorities, because it makes us feel unsafe. And just understanding what that bubble can do to us.
Yeah, I remember at my school, I think it was my freshman year of high school, there is something that went on, and there's like a lockdown that happened. And it was like all over the news and everything, and we were held in our classes, and cops came in because they had to pat down everyone because there was like a fake note that was written that the school was going to be shot up or something. And I remember I was in my Spanish class, and I was really scared. I was really scared because I was alone. I was the only Black person in my Spanish class, and the cops came in, and the first thing I saw was like their guns, and I've never seen a gun so up close, and it was so scary, and it kind of made me freeze. And then they're like, "Hey, we're gonna pat everyone down," and they pat everyone down, and I was one of the last people to get patted down, and I felt sick, like absolutely sick, like I was gonna throw up everywhere. And like sometimes I told some of my friends, but they didn't really understand. But I was like, I'm sure they pat me down a little bit more aggressively than like everyone else. Like I saw everyone else get pat down. There's like a little pat here, pat there, but they checked every pocket, and they checked every sleeve that I had, and I wouldn't be surprised if they told me to take off my shoes in case I was hiding something in my socks. They didn't, but I thought they were going to, and it was so scary, and I've never had to deal with anything like that. And I understand if a threat like that is being put on a school, that you gotta pat people down because you don't know, but it felt so unnecessary to me. And when I tried to tell my friends that, they kind of just looked at me like, you're being a little dramatic. You're not actually, that's not actually happening, because we got that down, and it wasn't that bad. But it was that bad for me. But yeah, it's pretty scary. It was scary, and I didn't know like the reputation of Lake Oswego or Oregon. All I knew was that it was a free state. I remember there was no slavery, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But then after going into high school and getting some teachers that had like the reputation that they waste time really going into the history. That's what their reputation is. They waste time going into the actual background knowledge. When they told me that, like, yeah, it was a free state because Black people weren't allowed in there, I was like, that makes sense. That makes sense. Looking around in this classroom, looking around in my school. So yeah, that's it.
So I remember even yesterday, I was driving home with my dad. I saw like 2 or 3 cop cars on the road. I was abiding by all the laws and everything, but I was still like really scared. And even if I'm like walking like on the street or like doing something with my friends in public, I'll like start like, if I see cars or I'll walk by or something, even if I'm not doing anything, I'll just like be more like attentive and stuff. But I think again, going to what we were saying earlier, odds are then like, especially if you're not doing anything, nothing, like, unless you get pulled over or something, nothing bad's gonna happen. The same reason that they're judging us with bias, we're judging them with bias too, and that's something we gotta get rid of. Because yes, they've done bad like things, but it's like everyone does bad stuff, and it's like the same way that they're judging us off the skin colors, the same way we can judge them from their badge. So I think it's like good to like be aware of that. I'm not like siding with them or like saying praising them or saying that they're perfect. But I think if we want to get rid of that fear and stuff, we really need to learn, like, bring them into our community, kind of what we're doing today, and like merge it, because we're so separated and divided. I think it's better if we're like able to like look at each other's views and have these kind of conversations, which is uncomfortable. They're hard. These opinions are controversial. It's like not something everyone's going to agree with or believe, but it is something we need to talk about and something we can get comfortable with. Because again, if we're not comfortable with these kind of things that are hard to talk about, this fear that goes both ways is going to grow and grow, and it's going to make the problems worse.
All right, so I believe Lakeridge and Lake O have school research officers, am I correct? So what is y'all's feeling about having school research officers on campus? How has your experience been with that?
I mean, kind of what I was just saying, like, it can be like nerve-wracking, like, you're like scared that you're gonna get judged or they're gonna do something, and that can happen, that's true. It's happened in other schools, it happens all the time. And we do need to be aware of that and like make sure that everyone's safe and okay, because if you're in school and you're worried that they could be a threat, then how are they being like serving and protecting, you know? If you're worried about the people that are in your community that are meant there to protect and help you, then obviously the system's wrong and they're not doing their job right, just to call them out directly. But at the same time, my friend's dad, he's one of the cops that works at the school, Officer Sheldon. He's a great guy, he's an amazing person. It's like, you gotta look at them and understand them as people, and it's like, you can't be afraid of them, because like, the judgment and all this stuff that happens, that's one of the biggest problems we have, going both ways. Is what I was saying, it's like, yeah, I'm scared, I'm admitting it, I've been scared of cops, I haven't done anything wrong, but it's like, there's still that bias in all these stories I've heard about kids getting shot, and it's like, the bias of them seeing someone with a hairbrush and thinking it's a gun and shooting them, that's terrible, but it's like, it's the same like mental image and stuff that's being repeated over and over, both ways, that causes this fear that just grows and grows and doesn't stop. And that's why so many people are dying.
Well, first of all, in my opinion, I think school resource officers are definitely great people, both at Lakeridge High School and Lake Oswego. And I can understand like what you see. We all have phones, we all have social media, we all have TV. It's kind of become a trend that the news just kind of posts like stuff about police brutality and officer shoots young black teen or something. You know, that's what kind of scares people. It even slightly scares me, even me. I want to go into the Navy, become an MA, and then go out, become a police officer. Even it scares me sometimes, you know. And I just think the way we can help improve people's image on our school resource officers, but not only that, but just our Lake Oswego police and other places. We need you guys, Chief Burke, I'm talking to you. I want your officers to be like, I want them to make sure they're not assholes, okay? I'm just gonna say that straight. I want you to make sure that the people who are patrolling the streets and going to schools, they're nice people. They're not like what you see on the TV. We don't judge people. I mean, I understand you might be nervous sometimes when you're definitely a traffic stop or eviction or something. I want your officers to be more friendly, more approachable. I just want you to make sure that they're being the best on their behavior and they just, what's the word? They're very approachable, very comfortable around people. Not saying your officers have to be social butterflies, but they definitely need to be people who someone can come up, talk about anything, and just trust their lives, try to put somebody's lives in your officer's hands and know that they'll be safe and make sure that they get help. That's all I gotta say.
Going back to more of the SROs, personally, love both of them. I've talked to both of them a lot. But I'd say that I was definitely like closer with them sophomore year. I don't know why. I feel like I saw them more. I feel like y'all walked down the hallways. Maybe you didn't. Maybe I just imagined that. But I feel like definitely like building a relationship with the students is important because, I don't know, if you see a cop, I feel like if it's at a school, you might think, oh, something's automatically wrong. Whereas like if they try to build relationships with us, then it's like, oh, they're more of a friend, someone who I can go to. They are a resource officer. If I need something, they're a resource for me, which I feel like would definitely make things easier. And if you learn to trust them, then you're able to go to them. I don't know, that's my perspective.
I think it also just officer to officer, because I know we're not going to be able to fix the relationship that the Black community has with cops, but if we can like work individually with each person, with each officer, and make that relationship stronger. That way, that single person is, like Marilyn said, a resource to them. It's not just the whole community, but it's just that one person you can turn to.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I feel like I don't actually have a relationship with the school resource officers. I know they exist, but honestly, up until we were planning this event, I hadn't ever had an actual conversation with them, like, outside of, I think every year they come and they talk to the affinity groups, but that's a heavy and hard conversation to have, and I think that's the only time I see them. And I think it is hard because I don't think there's much community with the SROs. I feel like I don't have to like go back and forth from each school, but it's like I feel like they could maybe come to some games or come to some more events, come to our assemblies, and kind of just sort of like be there and be known, instead of just being like, oh yeah, that's the SRO, and they're kind of only here in case something bad happens at the school.
I agree with what all of you have said, and I think that a common viewpoint we all have is that things are not black or white. Like, of course, it is a scary job to be a police officer in a country where there are guns, people do drugs, things can happen, but it's also scary on the other side for young black teenagers when brutal things have happened to them from the point of view of patrolling. But I believe that if officers integrate more with the black community, come and sit with us in school, then we will start getting more comfortable with each other. I've had nice conversations with some of the cops patrolling in school, and they're really good people. So I believe that if cops integrate with our community, then there will be a lot less fear, and we will also understand each other from both aspects.
All right, I got one more question for y'all, and then we're gonna move on to 2 audience questions, and then I'm gonna give the microphone back to Mr. Drury over here. So this is actually a personal question. Do you believe that there is an oppressed mindset in the black community and amongst our fellow students in Portland, Oregon? And what I mean by that is, do you believe that throughout the years that we have just adopted and been taught this mindset that, oh, you can't be this because you're black, you're not gonna achieve anything, you're not gonna be able to accomplish this because of X, Y, and Z? And if so, if you believe that, how would we combat that exactly and start changing that narrative and start actually inspiring our youth and our African American communities?
So I would actually like to make a point about that. So this is actually a universal thing. This happens around the whole world, even in Norway, where I've had black people, black friends have said, I can do this because I'm black. And I'm like, if you live in that mindset the rest of your life, when this whole world, we have moved forward in a sense, we know that there are bad things that happen, but if you lived in that mindset that you're undervaluing yourself, then you will not be able to move forward and make a change and do something really good for society. So one of the biggest things I believe for us black people is, we know that bad things have happened. We know that bad things are still occurring. Like, for example, in some North African countries, there are still black people who are enslaved until this day, and that's really insane. But if we live with a victimized mindset, then we can't go out and live our life the way we wanted to. And that has been integrated in our minds from such a young age, and we have to fix that in our communities, I believe.
Yeah, I do feel like that definitely is a mindset, and I think we do try to work against that. But I really like what Word is Bond does do with the mantras, because I did kind of catch myself with that mindset once. I was doing a project for school. I was with one of my partners for the project, and we were taking some pictures out in public, up in the downtown LA Center, right? And I was with my dad, and I was like, well, I don't want to do it. Like, they're gonna come to me and tell me to stop taking pictures. Like, you know, like, it's gonna be weird. I'm black in Lake Oswego. And we finished the project, went home. The next day, my dad, he came to me and he told me, like, that's not who you are. Like, you're not just black in Lake Oswego. He was like, you're a student, you're a smart student, you have good grades, you work for Parks and Rec for the city, like, you're this, that, and the next thing. And I think we should honestly really do adapt those mantras in our educational system, I guess, because I think it is empowering to know, like, this is who I am, this is what I'm working towards, this is what I do, and I can do whatever I want to do. And I really do like the mantras from Word is Bond.
this isn't just like Oregon specifically, Lake Oswego, but like in America. It's really interesting to me that a lot of young black kids, teens, they find themselves feeling that they're more likely to have a scholarship to schools through sports, and that's their only way out. That's I hear that movies, TV shows, on the streets. I'm gonna go to college through basketball, more than like their academic, like their intelligence and how they think and what they have to offer to the world other than entertainment for people. They think that that's the only way that they could like have a future. And it's just so interesting to me that no one's telling them that no, you have these opportunities to be greater than you are today. And I think like what Word is Bond is doing in organizations like that, where they're giving young black men and women and anyone like places where they could learn to be a leader and to be independent and like strive for their own path. I think that's what we need, is like more opportunities and more places where you can learn to be yourself, to truly be yourself and know your full potential, not just another number or another jersey on a team, where you can excel in science and you can excel in the arts and anything like that. I think that's what's most important, is opportunities.
Personally, I've had many teachers been surprised by the classes that I've been forecasted in or classes that I've been wanting to take, because in their mind they think black people can't achieve like higher things. They think black people can't be like go for higher education, and I think it's really important to, just for all of us up here, to like push past those stereotypes and be able to establish ourselves outside of what their expectations are for us, because we can make our own expectations.
Yeah, I do really agree with what everyone said up here about the mindset of a black person, not just a black person, but a person of color in general, I think that when you have a mindset like that, that, oh, I can't do that because I'm this, and, my culture, my family has never done that before, like, why should I ever do this, then that kind of gets into the whole stereotyping thing, the thought that, black men, black women can't achieve this, and it's forever going to be dedicated to like crime. And Word is Bond really changes that stereotype, breaks it, shatters it, demolishes it, and I really think we need to show more Word of Bond in Lake Oswego, because I've never seen you until I came into the BSU, and we really need to show out there to all of the black community and LO and surrounding communities and other people of color that chase their dreams, never give up, work hard, you can achieve it.
I don't remember, someone was talking about this earlier, I think it might have been one of you too, but one thing we really need in the black community is leadership, and we need good role models to look up to. I think that's just something that's really important, because if you don't have that, then you're not going to like be able to like excel as far as like you really should be able to, you know what I mean?
All right, thank you very much. Now we're going to take audience questions. Before we do, make sure it's appropriate. You all know this. And yeah. Yes, ma'am.
I'll just talk loud. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name's Stephanie. I know some of you amazing, incredible humans up there. I don't have a question. I need to say this and I won't cry. You need to hear me. You are not alone. You are not alone. Everything that you shared, me as an almost 50-year-old woman is feeling the same shit. So you are not alone. And I wish somebody would have told me that when I was your age. And here's the other thing. You are enough. Your hair's enough. Your body's enough. Your brains are enough. Your goals are enough. Do everything you said you have. Hang on to it. Just, you are enough and you're not alone. I just need to tell you, you shook me today. Thank you. You shook up some stuff from when I was a teenager. It takes forever. I will be your mentor. I will be your leader. You can come sit in my house. We can just talk about this. Let's go for a walk down the street and count heads that are turning into this. I just need you to be part of that. Thank you.
First of all, I want to say, Lakiana, I'm so proud. You know, I dote on you all the time. What you do with the young people in Portland and the surrounding areas needs to be a national program. And to all of the BSU students up here, I was president of the Black Student Union in my high school. I ain't gonna tell you what year. But what I will say is, you are beautiful. You are Black excellence. You are magic. And I am so proud of you. Wear that afro, okay? I didn't know my hair was curly till I cut it off. What I want to say to you is, first of all, the reason why I don't have a problem talking on a microphone is because I talk on one every day. I'm the morning personality for 104.1 The Fish, and I talk about mantras, and I share Fish Food for Thought every hour, every other 10 minutes. And I just want to say that we kind of tease Lake Oswego on The Fish sometimes, especially when we're doing fundraisers and stuff, because this is the wealthy area of town, but they're the last ones to give. And that's not everybody. But what I want to say is, I would love to come and speak to your BSU. I would love to help you all in any way that I possibly can, because when I was the president of my Black Student Union, I invited all of the other nationalities, and I'm so glad that you mentioned that. They should not just be Black, they should be everybody. And let's show them what Black girl and Black boy magic is about. We had a talent show every year that the entire city came to because they knew it was gonna be a show. Why? Because we have talent beyond athletics. We have talent in the arts. We have talent in poetry. We have talent in science. We have talent in physics. We have talent. We just need to showcase it. And you all need somebody that can show you how you can showcase who you are, because each one of you could be a model up there. You are absolutely gorgeous. You are absolutely enough. And sister back there in the back, don't cry. Do not cry, because honey, they didn't even know I was Black till I opened up my mouth, okay? But I will say this, I'm so proud of you all, seriously. Lakiana knows how to get in contact with me. I've lived in Oregon twice as a news anchor at Coin TV back in the 90s. It's changed a lot, but then it hasn't. And now I have a platform, and I would love to help. I would love, love, love. So get my information from them. I promise you, next year, it's going to double in size at least. Somebody say, get excited. Yeah.
All right, we have time for about one more question. Yes, sir.
And I'll always talk loudly, and mine is also a little bit of a statement. You know, 50 years ago, I was the only white kid in an African American history class in Illinois. 30 years ago, we adopted 2 Black boys, and we moved to Lake Oswego 15 years ago. And so I'm struck by, and they're now 30, so they graduated from LO High School, 10 years ago. But I'm just struck by how this never changes. I mean, we went through all the stuff when they were young, they got spat upon. We went through all of that stuff. And it strikes me that most of the conversation here is sort of what can the BSU do and what can kids do to educate and to do all these different things. And that just can't work. I mean, it hasn't worked in the last 50 years, and it's not going to work in the next 10. Somehow, the system has to be structured in a way that is more welcoming, that is more integrative, that is more sort of empathetic. Somehow the system has to change, not just the kids that are dealing with the system. And I don't know what that looks like. I stare at people in LO because I'd like to know where the other Black families are in LO in terms of our neighborhood. I don't, it's not, it can't be the kids. It's got to be something else, and I'm not quite sure what it is.
I do. Yeah, so, you know what? We've talked about Oregon before, and this is one state in the U.S. But at the end of the day, there's nothing in the founding of the state or the city or, we're speaking English, right? not a language of Oregon. So there's nothing in the system that's really redeemable. But you guys, okay, so if we want to if we want to strengthen the community, be friends. Who said you guys can come over to my house?
Me.
That's how we do it. You guys in the back, LOPD, you put this thing on. That's how we do it. Mayor Buckley, this is it. This is the system. We stick together. You guys should all have each other's phone numbers.
Yes.
We need to be together. We need to be together. We need to be together. This is it. This is the whole thing. You know? It's no magic. So I'm a Muslim, right? And so one thing that I understand is that there's the whole world. You know, there's the natural world, right? But that's not the same thing as the dunya. So the dunya is an Arabic word. We're talking about the world, but when I say dunya, that's distinct from the natural world. The dunya is never going to save us. Never, ever. There's no part of the USA that was ever founded for anybody else's well-being. The founding of this whole thing was to the detriment of everybody else involved. And we can acknowledge that. There's no going back to anything, you know? But we can acknowledge that, and that's where the change is. And we can get together. That's it. You know, we can talk about being oppressed, and yeah, none of our ancestors intended to come out here. We are not the intended beneficiaries of this country or the state, and yet we're all here. So we can all come together. We can go to her house. That's it.
All right, in the interest of time and respecting the space of Lake Theater, we're going to wrap things up, but can we give one more round of applause for our Thornton for his beautiful I want to give a big shout out to Cheyenne and Lake Theater for hosting us today. For helping organize and be the inspiration to bring this out here. Our cameraman Z, who's also a Lake Oswego student. He was at the first screening we did at the high school, and I told him we would pay him to come out here and do photography, so he's done some really great work. And also, we're going to give $50 stipends to each of the students up here for their time. One of the things that we really believe in is no free black labor, and this was labor. This is emotional. This is trauma. There is no price on what they shared today, you know, especially if you're not a person of color. Like, these are insights that you can't just get, and I would encourage you all to challenge yourself to continue to learn, and not just make them, this shouldn't be your only learning, is having them have to come up on stage. You should do your own individual learning. I want to give a shout out to Evan for taking the video today. This will be put on YouTube, so you will be able to use this as a resource. I hope this is part of the LOPD's training that they have to watch this panel. I hope the same thing for city administrators and school administrators as well. I want to give a shout out to all our ambassadors out there in the balcony and down here. My final appreciation is just
to you all as a community for showing up, for sticking around after the film to spend your Saturday listening to these very important stories. So thank you all. Please feel free to donate towards Bond, help us continue to do these programs to send our next group of young men to Ghana this summer, as well as put on more programs like this. So mywordisbond.org, you can make a tax-deductible donation. And again, thank you for being here. Have a great night.
Like, she's a big part of organizing the group. And she kind of helped give us the space and everything that helped us be able to do what we need to. So I just wanted to thank her.
Hi, I'm the president of Black Student Union. Thank you, all of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys. So much.